Franklin D. Roosevelt, remember always that all of us, you and I especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionists. I'd like to mention another quote, pretty good one. We are a nation of immigrants. We are the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the ones who wanted a better life, the driven ones. The ones who woke up one night hearing that voice telling them that life in that place called America could be a lot better. Well, and there's another quick point I'd like to make, that unless you're a Native American, you and your ancestors came from somewhere else. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who said this. This is the current president of the United States. Immigration has been relevant at every step throughout the United States history. Whether you're in favor or against immigration at every step of the way in America's history, it is so important. It is basically the spirit of this country. I'll say I have credibility on this because myself I am an immigrant and I have done pretty extensive research on this topic. And from the foundation of the United States of America until today, there is more than 200 years of tradition of receiving immigrants from all around the world. Immigrants have built, continue building, and will continue to do so for many years to come. Keeping these points in mind, my fellow students, today I would like to talk to you, as you might have suspected already, about immigration. First, I will discuss what is immigration itself. Second, I will discuss immigration in the United States of America throughout its history. And finally, I will discuss the current state of immigration in this country. Well, let's begin by explaining or citing the meaning of immigration. According to the Oxford Dictionary, immigration is the action of coming to live permanently in a foreign country. Immigration is not an isolated issue in one particular side of the world. As we can see in this image, immigration occurs throughout the entire world. People moving from one country to another. And there are many reasons that contribute to immigration. Some of them are economically, amongst which could be the desire to obtain higher wages, improve the standard of living, have better job opportunities, and gain education, and much more. Some of the non-economic motives for people to move to a different country are escape persecution, ethnic cleansing, genocide, war, natural disasters, and so on. So it is clear that immigration is part of human's nature, and immigration has been for as long as the human species has been around. But now that we understand the meaning of immigration, let's review the American experience. The melting pot works. This is the title of an article published by TheEconomist.com, which in my opinion describes extremely well the American experience. The immigration in American history is sometimes viewed in 4 different times: the colonial period, the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, and post-1965. The massive European immigration began after Columbus' discovery of this continent. Most of the immigrants were Africans, not by choice, English, Scottish, Irish, German, and Scottish. For the first European immigrants crossing the Atlantic meant 2 to 3 months of seasickness, overcrowding, limited food rations, and disease. But the promise of available land and hope of political and religious freedoms kept the Europeans coming. By the 1790 was passed the first law that regulated immigration in America. Which stipulated that any alien, being a free white person, may be admitted to become a citizen of the United States. By the 1800s, many new immigrants came in pursuit of a dream. By nearly for all the Irish immigrants from the 1840s to the 1850s came to escape the 'Nightmare, a devastating famine back home. which killed nearly 1.5 million of Irish, and just as many fled to America. By the late early 1900s, the door was wide open for Europeans, but not so much for other minorities. So much that in 1882, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. By 1907, also passed the Gentleman's Agreement with Japan, which extended the government hostility towards Asian workers and their families. Towards the World War I, Americans changed their attitude towards immigration. And on the early 1920s, a series of laws were passed to limit the flow of immigrants. Then the Great Depression came. Many recent immigrants returned to their native countries, including hundreds of thousands of Mexicans against their own will. The restrictive immigration policies persisted. After World War II, Congress passed, under pressure of many European countries, Displaced Persons Act, signed into law by 1948. By the early 60s, Lyndon Johnson signed into law the Hart-Celler Act, which replaced the quota system, offering hope to immigrants from all the countries, which quadrupled the Asian immigration because due mainly to the Vietnam War. The Cuban experience had a similar story. Today the government policies have changed. It gives preference to professionals like doctors, scientists, and high-tech specialists. And California now stands at the crossroads of America's newest cultures, receiving most of the immigrants from Asian mainland to the Philippines, Mexico, and Central America. Their influence is felt from the Imperial Valley to the Silicon Valley. That brings us to the current state of immigration. Most immigrants today come from Latin American countries, and I don't really see much difference from these immigrants to the previous generation of immigrants in the United States. The reasons for the newcomers to come to America, in my opinion, remain for the most part the same. The pursuit of the American dream, the search of a better life, escape violence, persecution, discrimination in their countries of origin. The immigrants of today should have the same opportunities as those of previous generations. In conclusion, from the beginning of this country until today, the country was built by immigrants and will continue to do so for many years to come. That brings us to what I discussed today, immigration, which is the moving from one country to another with the intention to permanently live there. Second, I discussed immigration in America, the periods and the different groups. And finally, I discussed the current state of immigration in America and America's immigration policies. And remember that everywhere immigrants have enriched and strengthened the fabric of American life. Remember always that all of us, you and I especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionaries.